Ramblin Man here. Now, today marks 20 years since 9/11 happened. And you have a lot of different stories out there, different people going through and telling their stories, what kind of things happened to them. The things I like to remember are just how close everyone was at that time. It brought the whole country together. Now, it's terrible that something that tragic had to happen to bring the whole country together, but it was amazing to see what Americans do. And I put something earlier that says Americans doing what Americans do, and that's exactly right. Americans always come together when the chips are down and they're stacked against you. But let me tell you a little bit about my story, just a little bit where I was, what I was doing. Because a lot of people were at home. Well, I just happened to be, it's just where timing was. And it wasn't like the first terrorist attack we've had, as far as the Oklahoma City bombing, some other things, in the towers. I know that there'd been like a bomb in the lower floors years before that. But here's the thing. Nothing of that magnitude had ever happened in the United States. And so we became complacent as a country where we just felt safe. We just felt like, hey, nothing can touch us. Because everything happens around in Europe and overseas in Africa, in all the Middle East, just everywhere else but here. Now, I had joined the Army in June of 2000, and because I was delayed going through getting my security clearance, it took a long time. By the time I got done, I had first had orders to go to Korea, but ended up at Fort Meade, Maryland. I got there in August, and I was assigned to the colonel's office. Now, the colonel, I drove the colonel around, and since we were a military intelligence post for all intents and purposes, I mean, we were joint forces. We had Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, everybody there. But we also had NSA, the National Security Agency, there. Now, if you don't know, the National Security Agency houses all our intel and does a lot of different things you can't talk about. Once you're in there, you're read onto them and things like that. You're sworn to secrecy or whatever. There's a lot of top secret things and things that expire over time. But that's where all the stuff people are talking about listening in on you. If that's happening, that's where it's gonna come from. So that's a real hot spot for like targets and things like that. So now you have kind of the backstory where I'm at. I am working in the command group where the colonel is housed, and I get and down the hall they said, "Hey, you gotta come see this." This is September 11th. We're already at work. We got there like at 7, and they're like, "Hey, you gotta come see this." So we walk in there, and they said, "Yeah, some little plane or something hit one of the towers, one of the twin towers." We're like, "What?" Well, we look at it, and I was like, it was billowing smoke just out of it, right? And at that point, we started watching it. And we're just watching the footage like, this is crazy. And they said they don't believe it's a regular, because first they were talking about it being a small, like, private airplane. I said, no, it looks like it's an airliner. And we're like, what? Now everybody's like curious, like, what's going on? And a few minutes later, we're watching, and we see the second plane hit the other tower. And you see it just fly in, just boom, and explodes. At that point, we know it's more than just an accident, more than just something that happened. At that point where we're at, and like I said, I'm at Fort Meade, we go into different protocols, calling around and requesting different things. Well, at that point, we weren't allowed to make any phone calls because all the lines were tied up. And my wife is at home with kids, and I'm sitting there at the office, and they're watching this stuff at home too. Everybody's calling around, hey, look what's going on. Well, we didn't have all our cell phones on us and everything. This is like 2001, so 20 years ago, it just wasn't as prevalent, right? We had cell phones, but they were flip phones and things, and we got calls, and all they would tell our loved ones is they'll get back to you. So they're really kind of in the dark at the moment. We had a lot of things going on. Then we had like a break after a couple hours. We're like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Because the towers had already fallen and everything. As they fell, we're just, everything's the plane hit the Pentagon, in Pennsylvania they crashed in Shanksville. All that stuff's going on. All I had time to do was like, go ahead and make your call. I called the house and I said, I am fine. Just stay at the house. I'll contact you when I can. And that was it. That's all we could do. Now, I live on post, so what happened from that moment on was we had pretty much 16-hour days. Sometimes it would be 12, but usually we're just stretching as much as we could. We'd work 8 hours, take a 2-hour break, work another 8 hours, take 6 hours sleep. I mean, it was just chaos for about a week or two, just really trying to get everything in line. And we thought we were the next target since the Pentagon got hit and NSA is such a hot target. We thought we were next. So they moved it down just to essential personnel. And I happened to be one of those, so I was pretty excited about that. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, it's one of those things, we're really kind of in shock. We don't know what's going on, but then your training and everything kicks in, and we're just on high alert, doing everything, all our jobs, just doing what we need to do. And I'll tell you this much. There's a lot of pride in that, because I look back on everything that happened. People really stepped up and did what needed to be done. And I posted something today. You see the boats were... just people on private boats and things were taking people in New York across the bay there, and 500,000 of them. I mean, just pulling them out of there. Now, when the Pentagon got hit, someone had referenced something today, and one of my colonels that I worked with and had driven, he was supposed to be in the office the day that happened, but he extended his TDY. So he was off on business and decided to stay an extra 2 days. But because of that, I didn't have to go to the Pentagon. So I wasn't supposed to go for a couple more days. And he would have been in the office had he been back from his TDY, and he would have been killed, because everyone except for 2 people in his office were killed. So it was just a really hard time, because everyone now countrywide, you can talk about, almost everybody can tell you where they were exactly when that happened. When it happened, where they were, what their thoughts were, feeling scared, feeling like in disbelief, like, is this really happening? And then when Al-Qaeda and everything's taking blame for it, and the hunt for Osama bin Laden happens, all this stuff it was like a whirlwind. And then we had President George W. Bush, and let me tell you, no matter what people think of a president, okay, when it comes down, they always measure like how they respond. And I will tell you this, we were really proud of the way the president at that time responded. What was it? It puts the soldiers in harm's way, but it was what America demanded at the time. Like, we want justice for this. And so we went to war. And then, you know, that's why we had the remnants of 20 years in Afghanistan. We just stayed too long, but it's one of those things, it just happened. But I will tell you, every song that could come out about America did, between Toby Keith, the Lee Greenwoods, and just everyone just singing songs about America and the pride and what they are about. My wife and I sat around last night talking about, man, do you remember everybody? You would drive down the street, people wave at you. Because why? Because they're a fellow American. It did not matter that y'all didn't agree the day before. That day, all you were Americans, and you had each other's back. And people talk right now, they talk about all the stuff, you know, black versus white and all these other things. I'll tell you right now that black and white didn't matter back then. It did not matter. What mattered was, because it only matters now because people are bringing light to it and throwing stuff out there. But what did matter was, there was a lot of things, because since it's Middle Eastern countries, there was a lot of profiling and just a lot of racism in that regard. People were just treated badly because of their race. If you want to know what it's like to be oppressed during that time, that's what I'm sure those people, whether from anywhere in the Middle East, they felt oppressed because people didn't even know them, but didn't like them because we just got attacked by a Middle Eastern country. And it wasn't really a country, it's a terrorist organization, but people know more about the Middle East now than they did 20 years ago, because at that time we didn't really know that much, except for like the things like Iraq and Desert Storm and things like that. Those were far removed from us. They're across the ocean, so we really didn't, unless you're in the military, you didn't even really know that much about it. But then everybody became engulfed in it. So it's one of those things that just changed everything, the whole landscape. It changed our culture, and the way we do things and the way we stand up for each other. I think the one thing I would say is I'm very proud to call myself an American, and that day is one of those days that I'll always be very proud of, because when everyone was fleeing, everyone was running, the first responders, the firemen, police officers, who we dog now completely, they were running up the stairs when those buildings collapsed, because while everybody else is running away, they were running into the fire, because that's their job. That's what they want to do. They were there to serve and protect, and that's what they do. So you don't always see, you only see what you want to see. I'm just telling you, when they had so many pictures of policemen, firemen, EMTs, all those guys running into the buildings, and they're going up the floors as they collapse. And there were hundreds of them that died. Over 3,000 people perished in the Twin Towers when they fell. And forever, every year, they would read the names off. Every single one of them. Every year. And this is the 20-year anniversary. I find it very disrespectful that today, of all days, the Taliban in Afghanistan decided to set up their government. Was that by accident? No. I don't believe so. It's like a slap in the face. But I will tell you this. We as Americans will go on. We'll stand up. We'll still come back for more. We just have to remember that we as Americans need to stand for what we believe in. And you can't keep us down. We'll always come back for more. I hope I answered some of your questions where I was. Yeah, I'm sure you have a similar story, but I've never been more proud than that day of all the people that ran into the buildings, all the people that stood out in the yard and watched airplanes start taking off again a week or two later. Man, people are just so much stronger than they believe they are. And we as Americans are no different. Y'all have a great day. I hope you subscribe. Make sure you share this, comment, and like. Thanks, guys. Ramblin' Man out.